The Arizona Coyotes got the NHL preseason started in Melbourne, Australia. Robyn Leano of Locked On Arizona Coyotes is here to talk about that, the progress of Logan Cooley, and all things Coyotes, next on the Locked On NHL Podcast.
You're Locked On NHL, your daily podcast on the National Hockey League. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Monday edition of the Locked On NHL Podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I want to thank everyone for making Locked On NHL your first listen every day. Don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts so you can get new episodes as soon as they drop. You can also find us on SiriusXM on the SXM app. Just do a search for Locked On NHL. Preseason hockey is back. The Arizona Coyotes helped kick it off down under. Robyn Leano of Locked On Coyotes joining us to talk about that. And Robyn, let's first talk about what this trip has been like for this team and what it's meant for the NHL and for the Coyotes.
Yeah, it's absolutely huge. I believe the first NHL game in the southern hemisphere. There's been a lot of global series games across Europe, across Asia, but the first in the southern hemisphere. So, they're pretty excited for it. And from what my understanding was, a lot of Coyotes fans actually made the trip down there too, and also Kings fans as well. But there was so much anticipation for it, especially because it's Australia. It's a tourist destination. People love to be there. So it was a pretty cool experience, especially seeing everything that, all the anticipation that led up to it.
And as far as this team is concerned, I mean, it's got to be a great bonding opportunity to start the season off by having the team head over to Australia. I mean, it's certainly not your typical training camp start of the preseason kind of a thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think there is because normally everyone's doing training camp, in their own home, and some of the team still is. It's a split squad, right? But this is the team that went to Australia, the team that we already know has a 99% chance of being on the opening night roster. So the fact that they were able to go and bond and have those kind of experiences on the global stage, I think it really made a difference. It really does. And I think that's, for a team that's coming out of a rebuild, I really think that's one of the most important things you can get.
Now, there were a few issues with the ice as far as practice goes. I know in the days leading up to the first game, but I somehow maybe that even helps the team bond even more.
Oh yeah, it's pretty funny. I was watching the everything that went down, and there was there's issues going on at Rod Laver Arena, so they're gonna go practice back at the O'Brien Ice House, and it's just oh my God, they're just going back and forth. I'm sure on the bus between the facilities, they're just laughing. They're just probably just laughing because it's funny because that happens. I mean, that in a place where it gets that hot, I'm pretty sure they understand. I'm sure it's probably happened maybe once or twice in an Arizona ice facility, maybe not while they're practicing, but it's nothing new.
And it amazed me looking at the schedule. The Coyotes actually on Saturday playing 3 different split squad games.
Yeah.
Is that a first in NHL preseason history?
I have never seen anything like that before. It's interesting too, because leading into that, I think the Coyotes signed 12 players to a PTO just so they could, field full team, ice full teams for those split squads. Like I said, the team that went to Australia is a team that practically is a shoe-in for the opening night roster. A team that's going to Wichita tonight, I believe, has. I think they're probably the ones that are fighting for a roster spot, seeing if they can, push in, maybe make the final couple spots. Then you got the team, and it's just going to St. Louis, where like they're just, I think they're just there for a little bit of the extra reps.
Logan Cooley with a spectacular play in the first game. Talk to me about his progress and about that move and that goal.
Logan Cooley has just been the one we've been waiting for. Ever since he was drafted, I've been hyping this dude up. I've been watching his highlights, watching him closely when I was playing in Minnesota. So when we found out he signed his contract, I'm like, all right, watch for these kind of plays. He's gonna do so well. And then in the first preseason game, he does it. He does those like a spinorama, just duke out the Kings, and I'm like, oh my god, is this what we're gonna keep getting? I'm gonna love this. This is gonna be so good. Logan Cooley, I really want to stress. I cannot stress this enough. That I really believe that Logan Cooley is, definitely going to be like, top 3 everyone's paying attention to in rookies in this upcoming year.
And what are the realistic expectations from him as a rookie this year, as far as you're concerned?
I mean, I wouldn't put it as I'd probably go as far as saying like, look, probably looking to see if he can chase for that Calder Trophy. I think that's kind of an actual realistic expectation. I know a lot of hockey fans out there are going to be touting for Connor Bedard and Connor Bedard, but I know, unlike him, he's got a better support. Logan Cooley's got a little bit of a better support team around him to be able to make sure he helps get that development and just look outstanding.
Any other young players? I mean, like you said, the Coyotes coming out of a rebuild here. Some other young players you think that our listeners and viewers should keep an eye on in Coyotes camp this year?
Yeah, I think I think of just 2 players really, and these are 2 players who made a big impact last year, who I really believe are going to increase and have a bigger impact this year. And that's defenseman J.J. Mosier, who as well as Matthias Pacelli, the forward. He came I believe he should have gotten at least more votes for the Calder Trophy last year, having the most points per game than any other rookie in the league last year. I just think he's going to build off of that.
Well, should be interesting to see, and hopefully the Coyotes take another step forward as they hope to get back to contention. Robyn, why don't you tell our viewers and our listeners where they could find the podcast and where they could find you on social media?
Yeah, you can find the podcast wherever you get your podcast, from Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, Stitcher. We're also on the Sirius XM radio app. All you gotta do is just search up Locked On Coyotes. On social media, we're on Facebook, facebook.com/LockedOnCoyotes, and on X at LO_Coyotes. And I'm at Robyn_Leano.
All right, Robyn, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Of course, thanks, Gil.
Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Snap into action this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place a $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets, win or lose. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options, including point spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. And hey, it's not just the NFL you could bet on. You've got the Major League Baseball playoffs right around the corner, and NHL futures are available right now. You can use your knowledge of the NHL at FanDuel. So visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn and kick off the NFL season and more. FanDuel, official partner of the National Football League.